This is Baruch Fleischman, and this is the Zohar. Zohar Kodesh. It has a pirush which is called the Matuk Midabash, which in English means sweeter than honey. We've been learning little by little this ninth Zohar in Parshas Pinchas. Now, it's an accumulation of all the different places that he's taking us, and here we're working the word Shema. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. We're learning from the standpoint of Sod, and we're examining the words themselves. Let's look over here. Yesterday we saw some ideas from Rebbe Shimon that had to do with the use of the letters Shin Mem, which is the first two letters, and then the big ayin in the back of it, with the word Shema that you will find in your Orthodox Seder. Now, in the word Echad, which is the final word, which is an extremely important word, you also have the two beginning letters, which are Aleph and Ches, which make the word Ach, and then you have a big dalet again. I pointed out some ideas about that yesterday, and now today we're going to go into a little bit more. Let me see if I can get this up, or we can see it better. So the Zohar, that's what we do. So we learn and translate the Zohar for those of us who are interested in the Aramaic language. This is Western Aramaic. It's the same Aramaic as Onkelos. They existed around the same time. It's a very, very sweet, sweet language. So he says, I found, this is Rebbe Shimon talking, in the sefer of this person who is called Rav Hamnuna Saba. Now, the thing is that Rav Hamnuna Saba is not a person, but Rav Hamnuna Saba is a spirit. The word Saba is the gematria of 63, which for those of you who are familiar, is the gematria of Sag, which is one of the names, divine names of Hashem, Yud Vav Dalet K Yud Vav Aleph Vav K Yud. Add those letters up, you get to the number 63, which is the word Saba. So Kol Man de Miyachet Yehuda Dov Kol Yoima. Now here he's talking about the Kriya Shema. Kriya Shema has within it a Yichud, which is really prefaced on the word Echad, bringing everything into oneness. So B'Kol Yoma, Ched V'Zemina Le'Mela, there is a joy, or rather a happiness, that is found, it could be joy, happiness, that's found in the worlds beyond physicality. Meraza the Aspa and the Elaine, and it really comes from the secret of these letters, which are Shin and Mem, Mehai Sitra. So that is the first two letters of the Shema, and Ach, Mehai Sitra, and the letters Aleph and Ches, which come from the word Echad, which is at the other end of the verse. So he says it's a way to combine them. The Mitzaras Alpha and the Mafreya Shari. So he says, let me see, he says, Mitzaref Aspan the Mafreya. He says, first you begin going backwards. That's a Shari. That's how you begin. Of a Meshar Siyam. And then at the end, you go straight. Now, what does this mean? We're going to see it in the Matik Bedevash. So if you spell the word that way, then we'll see it in the Matik Bedevash. That's going to bring us to a certain idea, which is a simon of the concept of esmach. I will make you happy. Dechsev anochi esmach b'Hashem mamish, that I will become happy in the Shem mamish. Do Yehuda kedusha. So this we're talking about the holy kedusha, the kedusha that takes place in the word echad. V'shaper ihu. And so this is actually very good. It's beautiful what you're saying. The Chanoch. So we find this also in the Sefer of Chanoch. The Amar Ki Chai Gavnu, who also says the same idea. The man that Yehuda b'kol yomet, that a person who is zeicha to be able to make this yichud every single day, ched v'zemina le'ela, there is a tremendous joy that is waiting for this person in the world beyond. Now let's pick up the Matuk Midrash and see if we can understand this a little bit more clearly, especially of what the combinations of what he's trying to say. And he says, I'm a Rebbe Shemon. Ashkach medesifet Rabba Nuna Saba. It's also specific Rabba Nuna Saba. Now he mentions Rabba Nuna Saba a lot of times. So the word Nuna in Aramaic means fish. So this has something to do with the pouring of water, which we understand in other terms as chesed. He called man the miyachad Yehuda Docha b'kol yomi, because every man who was able to join together and make this yichud called me shemiyachad Yehud Ezeh b'kol yom. The Hainu Shakora Kriya Shema b'Gavana Kavroli, that he says the Kriya Shema, and the idea of the Kriya Shema is once again to bring about this yichud. He says Simcha Muzumenis lo mal. There is a joy, a tremendous joy waiting for this person from up above. Misod Eloha Osius, and how do we know this? We understand it from the letters, the Hainu. He says the Shin Mem Min Shema Mitzad Zeh. So let's separate out the words, and let's take the two letters that are not the big letters, which are the Shin and Mem of the Shema, and you put them beside Zeh, but the Chidus Pasuk, you put them over on one side because they're on the other side of the Pasuk. Then he says Ach, so from the word Echad, which is the final word, Mitzad Zecha Misofa Pasuk. So you're going to take those two and you're going to work on that. And Mitzaref Osius Elaba Oven Zeh. So we're going to combine the letters in this way. Maskil L'chaver HaOsius L'Mafreya. So what you do is you start making the letters going backwards. Now, what does he mean by that? Behind the maskil, the echad b'shibitself a pasuk. So he said the maskil. Excuse me, I read it wrong. Let's begin from the aleph of the letter echad that's at the end of the pasuk. V'achakach oshin, and then put together. So in other words, you're going completely backwards, but you're starting with the first letter of the end of the pasuk, and you're taking the aleph. And then you're taking the shin, which is the first letter of the first word of the pasuk, shal shema shebezachidus the pasuk that's at the beginning of the pasuk. He says also, then you take the other two letters which are left over after you took the shin and you took the aleph. On the first word, you have the letter mem left over, right? The name was Shem, according to the Zohar we learned yesterday. And then the next letter, which is the ches from Echad, Messiah B'Yosher, so they actually are concluded without going Lamafreya, without going backwards. So he said, let me explain this to you. He says, the first thing is that the mem, which comes from the beginning of the pasuk, and then after that you take the word ches after the word echad. So first it's the shin, then it's the ches from echad. So he says so if you go like this and you have the aleph as the first letter of, you take the aleph lemafreya, he said to take it backwards, it's the last word, and you take the aleph from the word echad, and then you take the first letter of the first word, going again, it makes ayin and shin, which we're pronouncing here as a sin. Notice where the dot is right here. And then you take the letters that are left over, which is the mem and the ches. You have the word esmach. I will make you happy. Esmach. That I will find tremendous joy in the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, the name of mercy, the name of kindness, the name of love. Behind a Behei Mamish, that is with Hashem Mamish. Now, what does he mean? Do Yehuda Kedisha, this is the Yehuda Kodesh. V'yava v'nachonu, and it's proper the way that we analyze this. This is the right way. Also, you see this in the same thing in the Sifra Dechanoch. He says the Amr Ki Chai Gabni says the same idea. And he says, what's the idea? That a person who makes this yichud every single day, love, happiness, will be waiting for that person, and you see it in the words themselves, as Rebbe Shimon has taught it. Simchas muzabenis lo malamalo. There's a simcha that's ready for that person from the upper worlds. This is Baruch Fleischman. This has been the Tikkun Elevator Kolel, and it's a night Zohar, featuring, of course, the words of the holy Rebbe Shimon.